Well, I'm less of a man since the last time you saw me.
Hey, don't say that, man. Don't talk to yourself about like that.
Not in a sense of masculinity, but there's literally a little less of me.
Oh, isn't there a little less of all of us each week?
Or more. It depends on how big of a firehouse sub we order.
It's true.
But there is definitely less of me this week because I looked underneath the little towel after the doctor left the room, and I looked in the hemostat. There was a little piece of me pinched in that hemostat.
No way.
Because this week I got the big old
Snip.
The snipperoonie. And so I'll say the morning of, my palms were a little sweaty. I was a little nervous. I was trying to keep it together. It was like catching up. All of a sudden, it's like as the moment was approaching.
Was this the first surgery you'd ever had?
No, I've had other ones, but the other ones were necessary. Like this is just so elective.
Yeah.
That's part of it. Just be like, other ones where you have a health issue or complication or, an oral surgery, wisdom teeth, that sort of thing. It's really not so elective as, when you're just deciding, hey, cut my old B-sack open and snip around in there for a second. And it's not going to improve like my personal like health or like make sure I live or something,
Yeah. It's not something that like helps you forego cancer or something.
Right.
But, for the uneducated, what Pat is referencing is a vasectomy. Getting his balls and their highway to his wiener ding dong blocked permanently. It's like the way I always imagined it was of those aerial views of those like not roundabouts, but those like right lane mergers onto the highway. And like you take a right exit and it just comes around and then merges onto the next one.
Yep.
And then you just keep shooting forward. I always just imagined it from like an aerial view of like just like C4 detonation or just like ceasing to allow those things to merge.
It's not wrong because they do, dude. They use flames to get that thing done.
No way.
Not truly, but I
mean,
like yes,
singe you with a laser beam.
They cauterize it. So,
wow.
So you get in there, you lay down, and
step by step, walk me through this.
All right. So, like I said, I had a little bit of sweaty palms prior to.
Yeah.
You're supposed to take a few meds an hour before. So I just, you take one little diazepam, whatever, makes you a little less anxious, a little relaxed. And you also take hydrocodone or Vicodin or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So I pop those hour before.
Bro, they gave you Vicodin just to like chill you out? That's unreal.
Well, no, the one's to chill you out. The other one is for the pain.
Oh, so they give it to you before the pain even starts.
The pain. So you get kind of just you get a little bit relaxed.
You're pretty stoned if you're taking Vicodin.
And it does also, the doctor, he was like it's very and the doctor's like totally like professional. He's like it's actually really cool how how the scrotal tissue reacts to Vicodin. It relaxes the tissue and allows me to do my work. And you're like
good.
You're like, all right, like, it allows me to feel less of you touching my scrotum.
Hey, what is the scrotum? Because I know people who think it's like part of the shaft, and I've always believed the scrotum was like the tissue that holds the balls.
Yeah,
that's it, right?
Yeah, but at some point, like, when does it change?
Like calves to ankles.
Exactly.
Yes.
If you got a little cankle scrotum going on, what's the
scrotum to shaft to what scrotum? Scraft?
For sure. Then there's a clear differentiation on the tip. But that's a whole other thing. I'm out of my depth on this one.
Yeah. No, okay.
And out of my length. Yeah. But but anyways, so you take a few pills before, get to the doctor, and got there. My appointment's for 11. I got there at 10:45. At 10:47, they call me back there. I'm like, oh,
wow, that's crazy on time.
I was like sitting my butt in the chair, like ready to wait 15 minutes. I'm like, Mr. Pat, and I'm like, right now, like we have to do this now. It's like, okay, like I thought I had 15 minutes, kind of calm down. But,
wow.
So this older lady walks me back there, older nurse. She's like, all right, and she has she's holding a razor and then a box of instruments.
Wow.
And I'm just like, all right, like,
did you pre-scape the night before?
I did.
Knowing?
I did. I pre-scaped.
That's the mindful thing.
Yeah. So I pre-scaped. Not a very hairy man as it stands.
Sure.
But I still I took some work upon myself.
Yeah.
And then and I'm like, oh my God, like, is this old lady about to shave my balls? Like, I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Yes.
This is not something I'm particularly.
I feel like I'd be okay with that, because like I feel like I could like just like at that point. I mean, I wouldn't be okay with it, but I guess I could be like,
I mean,
it's better you than anyone else.
Yeah. And so anyway, she sets the razor down, sets the utensils down, and she's like, all right, like, date of birth, whatever. And then, okay, please disrobe. And like, she said that like, as like, she also like, she said that and then finished the rest of her sentence.
Yeah.
And I was already like pulling my pants down, and then she just walked out. But so she turned and left as I was like pulling my pants down. I was realizing like, oh,
like she opened the door.
Yeah, but
walked out.
But I was also realizing like, oh, like I wasn't supposed to get naked in front of you yet. Good thing you just turned and left, because I was just dropping trout right now for you.
Okay.
Because I'm confused.
I bet that happens all the time. I bet that's why she turned so quick.
Yeah, she's like, and please disrobe, and just like walks out. I'm just like, wait, so what's happening now? So the shaving thing, I have no idea what's happening now.
Come back.
I've only heard
Aren't
stories.
you going to shave my balls?
Exactly. Look, am I supposed to do it right now? Just dry? Just dry shave?
Yeah.
The surgeon comes in there, I'm just dry shaving.
Sounds like sandpaper.
Oh my God. So anyways, pull my pants down, and like as she leaves, like a second later, knock on the door. Ting, ting, ting. Like, I come in. It's like my doctor. He's like, all right, like go ahead and sit down. So this is not in a surgical room. This is in a doctor's office.
And
like,
nuts are out.
Yeah, and I'm just standing there like I did
nuts
wear,
out.
Yeah. And so he comes in, and he just like so I sit on like the crinkly paper. But so I sit on the crinkly paper and the soft pad from the 70s. It's on all doctors' benches or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, lay back. So he lays me back, and then he's like, as I'm laying back, I'm like, all right, like kind of getting just getting settled. But what was impressive about this dude is he walked in a full suit.
Oh wow, like a suit, not even like his
no scrubs
on.
He was wearing a mask, but he was just wearing a suit, like dress shirt.
Guy in a mask and a suit came in.
Yeah.
Did he have a full head of hair?
Yes. Yeah. No,
This is Christian. This is Christian Bale from American Psycho, bro.
Yeah.
That was not a doctor. Yeah. He's just in there to play around with
exactly. So, but it did kind of give me some confidence, like, oh, this guy's just like, he's sharp looking. I lay back, and he starts like, he like lays me back, brings me up, and he kind of starts building he puts blankets or like towels like around my business. So it's like, the work area is the only thing exposed.
Yeah. But
as that happens, this young lady walks in. I'm like, oh God. Right. So I'm like, so then I like
young, attractive lady.
I don't know, because I locked it down so hard.
Hell yeah, brother.
I will say,
hell yeah.
I was afraid of getting an erection during this procedure, right? Of
course.
I don't know what, I still don't know what's happening with the razor, right? Now, option one, old lady's gone. Now we've got a young lady and a guy in a suit. He is looking pretty good himself. I don't know what's about to happen.
Oh, I see.
I'm a little bit, a little high on this Vicodin.
Yeah.
I'm just, so anyways, I'm staring at the light bulb, like dead, just like burning a hole in my retina. And I see she comes in, and I like glance at her, and she like a 0.000 nanosecond like glance, like, who is that? I'm like, oh, it's like young woman. Okay, like staring straight at the ceiling. And then I don't even remember what they said. They exchanged like 2 sentences. She handed him an instrument, and then she left. I was like, oh, like the coast is clear. Here we go. And actually what she did was take this thing and like a big sticker and stick it on my thigh. That's what she did. So she did approach the thigh area. So then I was staring at the light bulb.
What did the sticker say? Like,
it was a big metallic sticker with a wire sticking off of it that goes to a box.
I wonder
what it does. Me too. I was wondering too. I'm like, what is this for?
Like, it grounds you from what?
It is grounding. It does ground you. And I was like, is this in case I start is this a part of like an AED? Like, what's about to happen? Like, how serious is this? I don't know. So anyways, she leaves after she sticks a sticker on my thigh. Now we're in the clear. On the boner alert, at least.
Hold on. Let me say this.
Yeah.
Let me ask this.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, have they put up like a thing to shield you from them just lifting up, the trunk of your wang and examining what to do?
No.
No, so there's nothing blocking you from seeing them taking like
Yeah.
glinting metal objects
Right.
toward your dong.
So I can't see my business because I'm laying flat on my back, you know, and so with my head back.
There's a joke there, but I won't.
No, but what I was saying is because there is like a part where like sometimes like, yeah, like you would put a shield up so you can't see it, but I could see the instruments, but I can't see my business.
I would still need something up.
Yeah.
I can't see them at all.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to see the instruments or them. I'd have to be like, there's nothing going on down
like,
there.
I did see a guy, like what I could see is like man in a suit putting on gloves and grabbing like a needle and like clearing it and then just like heading down south with it, right?
Why did you just pull your shirt over your head? Like I would have been
like a pure coward.
Like, hey Doc, I'm just gonna pull my shirt over my face. Oh, okay, I guess.
And so, no, this guy was such a pro though. He's like, he talked me through every single thing he was doing. And like, he's like, all right, here we're doing this. All right. Like we're going to numb. All right, there we go. Like, all right, can you feel this? Like, yeah, a little bit. He's like, all right, numb me up some more. All right. And this is going to be a sting. Like, oh yeah, that stings, you know, whatever. And then he's like, and then he was like, all right, like I'm going to find the vase, like the vas deferens. He's like, I'm going to find it and I'm going to kill it. Like, kill it? Like that's what he's talking. It's like, all right. So he's like,
what is the vase?
The vas deferens is the highway.
Oh, it's the highway.
Is the little ramen noodle that runs up to the intersection.
Yes.
Carries your swimmers to the juice because it's not. So the swimmers go to the juice, and then the
swimmers
juice
go to the juice. Yeah.
And
the swimmers are people on a bus.
Yeah, the swimmers live in the juice, and then it all goes where it needs to go.
Yeah, the swimmers are taking public transportation.
Exactly.
And just because you detonate the highway doesn't mean public transportation isn't still running.
That's true. There just ain't nobody in it.
There's nobody on the bus.
At least hopefully.
Yeah.
Just got one lone one in there about to ruin the whole, make it all not worth it.
That'd be funny.
But he's like, yeah, all right, we're gonna kill it. And he's like, all right, like, can you feel that? I'm like, I can still feel that. He's like, I'm gonna need to numb you up more, else you're gonna really feel this next part. So he like numbs it up some more.
And now, is each numbing another stinging shot?
No. After like the first, like it progressively got to where like I could not feel it. So he starts with like lefty. So it's one incision where he opens it all up big, like I'm sure where he can get to both sides.
Spreads it.
Yeah.
Bat wing.
Yeah. He's going bat wing. He went right in the middle seam. Now he can go both sides. And he's but and then there's just like, it looks like a humidifier, like a very active humidifier is coming between my legs, just because he's carterizing that thing.
Oh, really?
Which is what the grounding pad was for. Because he just has this thing and he's like, he just did a quick like, could you feel that? And I was like, a little bit. And he's like, all right, numbs you up some more. And then he goes full like, all right, like, and then like does a little more things. He's like, all right, like time for the other side.
My God.
So yeah, and you can, I'll tell you this, you can smell it. Now, some guys have been very disturbed by it. It smells like burnt hair.
Oh, okay, that's all right.
So it's not that bad, but if guys aren't ready for it, there's certain guys who have like, they get real freaked out about it. Like they're like, I could smell my nuts burning, man. I could smell them. I'm like, it's like, if you've like hunted or like killed an animal or burned hair or whatever, like you can deal with it. But if you don't know about it, it's a little surprising. So anyways, moves over to righty. And at this point, like it's all pretty numb. He's like shooting up. He's like numbing even more.
Like
so
how far has the numbness spread? Like, is it to the point where you're like, I actually can't feel my thighs. I can't feel my knees anymore.
I would say everything was numb as far as like I could feel when he grabbed the string, but I could feel it in my belly button.
Yeah.
Like getting hit in the nuts. So I could feel that, just like a little tugging, but below that, I couldn't feel anything.
Was that as bad as he told you it was going to be?
I'd say it went better than he said. He I think during the consult, he kind of gives you the worst case feeling. And I think I also went really smooth because it can be bad for other guys. If you can get it can be a lot of like cartilage or fat, or not cartilage, but fat around stuff. And it's like, it's hard to find. There's nerves in there they can hit and stuff. And so anyways, once he's moved on to the right side, now at this point, I'm like, I'm doing good. I'm fine. And I'm like, should I watch? Like, should I sit up and watch this next part? And I wanted so bad to like sit up and watch. And I didn't.
Good.
But I really wanted to. I was so tempted to. And I was like, I think like, because I was holding it together so good, I was like, let's not ruin a good thing. Yeah. I'm doing fine now. Let's not.
What if you look up and you just see your shriveled, terrified wiener?
Yeah.
And then you see one nut smoking and the other one's getting cut open. No way, dude.
Yeah, your sac
Not in
being
a million years.
disemboweled. Because
Yeah.
at that point, I was like, all right, we're fine. I was like, you know what? We're doing good. We're going to keep it clean here. So anyways, he finishes up that one real fast. Gets everything, cauterized up. And he's like, all right, put one stitch in. Puts a stitch in. Just one. Didn't feel that, which was very nice to not feel a stitch going through your old saccharine. Because I will back up to the part of like the manscaping prior to. I did nick myself twice.
Oh, yeah.
And that made me even more nervous. I was like, because those nicks hurt. And I was
They
thinking,
sting a little bit, but for like people who are too afraid, like it's not like you're going to nick it and then like it's like,
right.
it doesn't hurt that much.
But it hurts enough that it was making me, I've done it in the past and not thought much of it. But now I was thinking like, oh my God, if this hurt that much, how bad is tomorrow going to be?
Sure.
Right. Because you're like,
yeah.
this little tiny like electric razor like barely did anything. Like
Yeah.
I'm screwed tomorrow. So anyways, but at this point we're good.
No, that's fair.
He got it all, he sewed it up and he's like,
Do
all
you have
right.
to get the stitches taken out? Or
It's just one stitch, it dissolves.
Nice.
And he's like, all right, like we're all done. Like, good job. And like, he's like, so I just stood up on my feet and he left the room. I put my pants on.
You could stand afterwards?
That's what I'm saying.
I've heard a lot of people say they were too numb to stand.
No, he was like, all right. So I just stood up, put my pants on. Like, it's surprising. Like, no one was in there to like make sure you don't fall and hit your head or nothing. No, just like, all right, stand up, put your pants on. Stood up, put my pants on. And at that point was when I saw like the little medical table with all the towels on. And I was like, I got to look under there. And I'm like lifting it up and peeking under there. And that's when the hemostat was, I saw a little pinched piece of tube in there, a little bit of blood, a little bit of, stuff. But as I'm doing that, the door opens again. And now I look like a weirdo. So I'm like, I close it, like put the thing down, turn around.
I just figured I had to eat it.
And so, and then I walked out of there. And like I said, it was 11:45 when we got there, 11:47 when I went in, walked out to get my ride home. And it was 11:03.
Wow. That's crazy, dude.
Bing, bang, bong.
You think he just picks a suit out and then he's like, this is my actual like cutting nuts open suit. The rest of these are my consultation suits.
Oh, I think he probably actually was just straight up dressed for how he dresses that day. Like, I think it's so routine to him, he doesn't even care. And one thing that gave me confidence where I was like, this guy's not even concerned about getting blood on his he didn't roll his sleeves up. Like he just keeps it clean and he just operated, did what he knew how to do.
That's when you know you're good at something, bro. When you can do something that's messy like that and you're like, I'm not getting anything.
Because I will say there was a drop of blood on the floor. So like I did, like there was, it's like there.
How cinematic though, just one drop.
Yeah, I know, but it just was like, which is kind of like, I was looking at it kind of like.
Smoke break.
Smoke break.
Hey, Ken, it's Mick, and I've got something important to talk about. We all hope we never find ourselves in a self-defense situation, but life's unpredictable. Enter the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer, an actual credible law firm you could put on retainer for your self-defense needs. For just $35 a month, you get national coverage in all 50 states for criminal and civil legal representation in self-defense situations, complete with a 24/7, 365 toll-free emergency line. That's real legal support when you need it most. What's in the package? Bail bonds, scene cleanup, firearm replacement, even mental health counseling. Plus, 0 fees for a laundry list of defense-related costs like expert witnesses. So support the show and get yourself some peace of mind. Click the link in our show notes or visit our sponsors page to sign up for the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer.
Hey folks, Pat here. If you're like Mick and I, you're a fan of classic tales like Lonesome Dove, Blood Meridian, The Three-Body Problem, and Steinbeck's East of Eden. With Audible, you can dive into these epic stories anytime, anywhere. Sign up for a free month, and your first audiobook is on the house. To start your free trial and support our show, click the link in the show notes or swing by the sponsors page on our website.
Want an awesome website for your podcast? Check out Podpage. We use it for the Mick and Pat show, and it's a game changer. Set it up in minutes, no coding needed. Support the show by using our link to get started. Your podcast deserves a home as great as ours. Podpage, the one-stop solution.
Ugh.
I wonder if he's like OCD and he's like, just thinking about that all day.
Yeah.
It's like, son of a bitch, that was almost the cleanest one I've ever done.
It's like eating a Chipotle burrito without dropping one piece of rice.
Oh gosh.
But I was just looking down, I was like, that beef from my nuts. That's my nut blood. And I pulled my pants up and I walked out of there.
That's crazy, dude. All right, so now after everything wore off, did you feel any pain or achiness?
No, I mean,
no feeling of getting kicked in the nuts?
A little bit. So it was like that day I just went home.
Does it feel like blue balls? That's what I hear a lot of people wonder.
Nope.
Doesn't feel like blue balls.
Not in my case. I went home and I iced on and off, 15 minutes on, 15 minutes off the whole rest of the day till nighttime.
Huh.
Watched like 2 or 3 movies, rotating the frozen peas in and out. And then also throughout that day, I did take some more like Vicodin like in the afternoon and then before I went to bed. And then now it's been 3 days, and that was only the first days when I took like pain meds. The next day I haven't taken anything since. I've been out and about.
You don't have any weird reactions to Vicodin?
No.
I hallucinate.
Yeah, I just wake up the next day blacked out, and I see videos of myself on the evening news.
Yeah, that's funny. Was Mace Windu nice to you? Was she a good nurse?
Oh yeah. She
helped make you food and rub your head.
She exchanged the bag of peas in and out as needed, and got the kids out of the house. That's the number one. The number one killer is like
just keep the kids from jumping on your nuts.
If the kids gave me the flying knee to the crotch, then I would have had a serious like issue. I think So yeah. I did last night. I was like, all right, like the mother-in-law was in town. She watched the kids. I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna get some Christmas shopping done because I rarely get it done before like the 22nd.
Yeah.
I'm a bad Christmas shopper. I'm gonna go get it done. And I ended up at Walmart for one of the things, and I was walking back in there, and this was day 2 into the day, no painkillers, and I did like get a cart, and I walked back, and I made it to the back of Walmart, and I was starting to hurt a little bit.
Really?
And I was like, and then in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm going to get stuck back here. I'm not going to be able to make it back to the car if this keeps progressing. But I was fine. But
that's funny.
Yeah, man.
That's funny, man. Wow. Do you feel older? Do you feel like an old man now? Do you feel like this is something I feel like a lot of guys get done in their 40s?
I know. I feel a little bit.
Kids late.
I feel like it's a little bit early. Not that old for it, but I feel fine, but I feel good about it because we have. Well,
yeah, it's got to be an agreed upon decision. I just meant like if it was like sinking in with you and you're like,
I am.
Wow, like the making babies part of my life is over.
Yeah, no, there is like a little piece of that is like. There's obviously like the man pride piece and things. Guys like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. Spread my seat, whatever. But like, also, there's like that. But what really it is surreal. Like, I've had 3 kids going in there being like, when the older nurse was in there, she had me sign a piece of paper, and we just called it a vasectomy or getting snipped, right? But then she's like, you're signing. She's just like, you're signing this paper agreeing to be sterilized today. And I was like.
Ooh-wee.
Sterilized, like, no, I'm just getting snipped. Like, that's too heavy a word for
we can undo this though.
But it's like, it's like the heaviness of like, okay, like this is, it is a somewhat serious decision, and like, and there's a piece of it, you're like, okay, like there is consequence for like, what's happening. And so yeah, there's a little bit of like, definitely there's like acceptance of a stage of your life, like, okay, we're moving to the next stage, like we're not gonna have more kids, and that's fine, and like things can be shifted around, and you can get it reversed. It not necessarily that easy, but you can get it reversed. And also in my mind, what I'm resolved to is like, we've got 3 beautiful kids, and if we really feel like someday another one is in store, like there's a lot of kids out there who also need a home. So it's like, there's
true.
There's other options, other ways, and other things that can be like a part of our future. But there is, so some guys are like, well, welcome to the club. You're in the club now. And so we were talking earlier too about how this was an elective surgery, and it's not like it's keeping me from getting cancer.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, it is maybe keeping someone else from getting cancer, and that would be old Mace Windu, being on like, so biggest reason around it's, get off the pill, get off birth control, these things, and be able to just like have natural body function, and not be on that for a long time. So,
when did Mace Windu stop taking the pill?
She hasn't yet.
Oh,
because the she will soon. Because we got to go get after a couple weeks after, you got to go get your stuff tested and make sure that it worked. Yeah, because sometimes it doesn't work. There's guys who like don't ever like. Basically, you got to take some jizz in a cup, drop it off at the freaking office, and be like, "Here's my specimen." Be all like use like medical terminology, like here's my sample, and they test it, see, make sure that the vasectomy was successful. But there's guys who've been, in the short term. There's two parts to it. You also have to like. To use some, more medical terms, you do have to ejaculate a number of times to make sure that, like,
really
clear the chamber. Clear the chamber. You got to clear the chamber.
That kind of makes sense.
And then in the long term, also, you have to you do need to get it tested to make sure it was successful. Because there's some guys who, in the short term, didn't clear the chamber, get pregnant again. Also, there's some guys who, like 7 years down the road, thought they were good, and then get pregnant again. And that is surprising when you're like. Your youngest is like starting middle school, and then you have a baby. You're like, what in the world? So got to get tested, got to make sure it worked. So at that point, that's when we'll kind of, phase out all that, other contraceptive stuff. So
sure. Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. I'm feeling like an old man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Got some aches and pains today.
My back's just been killing me. And I was just thinking about that, of like when I was coming over here, I'm going to hear from Pat on how his vasectomy went. That's kind of an old man thing. I was like, I just had my young, beautiful, hot wife doing yoga and rubbing my back out and like doing, it just was like one of those things where like she was helping me stretch it out and like do the bean microwave bag on it. All that stuff, and I was like, and I walked my dog for like about a mile, and I was in so much pain. I was like, I might have to stop this walk. And I just saw myself in like the reflection of like a window on a storefront walking my dog.
Yeah, and
my posture was just stiff.
Oh no,
and my legs were stiff,
looking a little hunchy.
I had that, yeah, seriously, and I'm like, what's happening? What's happening to me right now? So, I just think we're starting to get old, dude.
Did you do something, or you just need to?
No idea.
You just need to get on.
I think that's the worst part.
Get back in.
That's the worst part. It's like I didn't do. It's not that I didn't do it like a young man thing.
It's because you're doing nothing.
It's probably because I'm doing nothing. Yeah. And so, it just sucks.
Yeah, it does.
It sucks so much.
Oh man. Yep.
About to hit that big 3-0. God.
Yep, gotta get back in the old gym and stretching. I gotta get back, dude. I've been out for a long time.
But your job keeps you active. It used to before you had all your peons doing the hard labor.
Yeah, but part of the problem is it is somewhat labor intensive, but it's not like a healthy exercise. It's like being like hunched over, crawling, or like like whatever. Yeah, I lift a 50, 60 pound roll of vapor barrier, but not in like proper form. You're like literally in a crawl space, like like when your back's extended too far and you're lifting something like that. It's like that is so I got to get back on the game. Got to do something.
Yeah, I mean, I do think like walking my dog has been actually great. Like I feel really good. There's some days I do like all 3 of her walks. Other days, Billie Jean will do, 2 or 3 of the walks, and we take her for 5 to 6 miles a day, basically. And that definitely feels good. Now it's just like I gotta start doing like body weight and weight bearing things again. And just get back into the routine of that.
For sure, especially if anybody out there, if you've got a type of desk type job or whatever, it's easy for it to sneak up on you too if you're doing a lot of sitting.
Well, I just never get. I've been working from home, sitting at a desk on the computer or whatever for 8 hours a day, and I've never had pain like this that I can remember. Like just sneaking up on me. So that's why I'm like, how does this happen one day? Why wasn't it kind of hurting yesterday? You know what I mean?
Up. Yeah, just all of a sudden happens. Backs are weird that way, man. Backs are
and I'm going to sleep and then it's going to go away. I'm going to forget about it. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to go to sleep tonight and it's going to be done.
Yep.
But anyways, there's some stuff we were talking about. Oh, yeah. You asked about when we were getting ready for the show, you asked about the drones and what my thoughts on the whole drone situation were.
Yeah.
So I guess I just want to let you, describe to me what you're really asking.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of drone context stuff. Is it, a lot of people are like, all these drones are flying over New Jersey, on camera. And then you watch a couple videos and you're like, do people forget what planes are?
Oh, yeah.
You didn't know that some of the busiest airports in the nation are on both ass ends of Germany, ass ends of Jersey. And so it kind of makes sense that there's a lot of planes, but you watch those and I'm just like, dude, those are planes. Those are planes coming down to land at an airport. What are people smoking right now? But then there's other ones I've seen of that's definitely an object hovering in place, low elevation, or it's demonstrating zigzag behavior. And then I've seen ones that were, of course, recordings of the quote unquote orbs around the Washington, D.C. Capitol, around the White House and the Capitol building. And they aren't, I don't think they're floating, unidentified floating orbs. I genuinely believe they are drones.
Yeah.
But also, here's one thing a lot of people don't get is you can see planes landing and taking off every 2 minutes from JFK there. You know what I mean? And maybe not JFK. What is that one? It's not JFK. I can't remember. The super busy airport right next to the Capitol.
In Newark.
Yeah. Well, I know it's...
in the Capitol. Yeah.
Yeah, and bro, I was recording them taking off and landing when I was there recently. And the cloud coverage was really low and swampy and foggy. Yeah, it looks like alien lights flying overhead. But I'm like, dude, these are planes. What are the people smoking? It's so anyways, all that said, what are you referencing when you say the drones?
Yeah, well, I mean, over the past 4 or 5 days, people saying there's been lots of drone sightings in New Jersey, lots of things going on with it, lots of pictures coming out from whether who knows if it's there or somewhere else. There's a picture from little DJI drone type, all the way over to the huge the big
quad or octagon.
Yeah, octagon, the 8 prop drones. They're about the size of a human, 6 foot wide. And so I don't know, and then some people have speculated that there was some nuclear material that did go missing in New Jersey over the last couple days.
Interesting.
And so they're wondering if they're trying to hunt down where that went. Basically, it was a piece of hospital equipment that had nuclear material in it. When it showed up to be disposed of, the crate was damaged and empty, so it's gone.
Ooh, that is not good.
And that's kind of the phrase nuclear material could be a little bit misleading. I don't know how much hospital equipment out there has enough nuclear material in it to really do big things with, right, or whatever. So and so I'm speaking out of my bro science, bro cap here. It's I don't know if I'm pretty sure if hospitals had equipment that had enough nuclear material in it to make something dangerous or do something bad with, I think people would be robbing hospitals all the time. You know what I mean? I'd be headed down to the local one and I'd be hawking that thing over to Iran right now.
Yeah, no, it's I've looked into this as well because a lot of people use nuclear material. A lot of people don't realize, but we use nuclear material for all of our concrete and essentially dirt testing for before we lay a foundation for something. And that material is highly regulated. And those devices that do that testing are monitored and locked and secure day in and day out. But yeah, you can't just get one of them and then build, from what I understand, a nuclear bomb with it, or atom bomb. Like, you have to acquire quite a bit of material. The concern with, I think, that other material, that like radiation material, radioactive, is because it can be used in a non-nuclear way, right? Like in a dirty bomb, where you put it with other stuff, and then you blow up in a pipe bomb, and then now you have radiated nails flying, over a quarter-mile radius into a bunch of people. And now you got a lot of people who are getting radiation poisoning, and the whole area is contaminated and needs to get locked down. And it's one of those things where, like, I believe it's essentially, like, conceptually, it can be used to terrify a population, but also like shut down a whole area, because now they have to do contamination cleanup, and that's a pretty invasive and technical process.
That's true. And some articles I'm seeing here are saying drones were not tracking missing radioactive material in New Jersey. Like 4 or 5 articles on that. So half me thinks, all right, they weren't. The other half of me goes, well, then they definitely were, if that's what all the articles are saying. But, like we're saying, it's not like someone lost a suitcase nuke. It's not an episode of Jack Bauer 24 out there with the drones.
Yep.
And I think the part that the reason why lots of people are interested in it is because the United States isn't necessarily just going to let a whole bunch of drones, large ones, and in certain airspaces just be flying around at certain altitudes and all over the place. Like even your little consumer drones, they can only go so high. You can put them up there pretty high, but they do have governors and certain things on them, or different settings or warnings, and they're relatively small, and so if you have a whole bunch of actually larger drones up in the sky around patrolling, like somewhere like New Jersey on our coast in a super high air traffic area, I don't know that, one, the government's going to not see it through monitoring, or two, not do anything about it, which leads us to the other question is, why are they saying we don't know what these things are? Because if anybody knows, I'd assume it would be the people who have all the equipment to know what they are.
Yeah, so like I saw this posted on Reddit, which is not my reason for a source or anything like that, but it is a good point, is what I'm saying, because I do know of this device essentially that was used just for tracking, and understanding how fast we can be tracking from satellites and how small of an object. And there's essentially the equivalent thing of the size of like a baseball. And this is a device that's like in the, I believe, Atlantic Ocean. And it's used every once in a while for especially like testing satellites, and like if everything is working like program wise, it's pretty much like go find this specific baseball in the ocean and track it. Yeah. From 6,000 miles up in the atmosphere. You know what I mean? And a lot of people like don't know it, like, but that is like a way we essentially government wise are testing and like training new people on how to operate the satellites, as well as like making sure the satellites operate correctly. And so it's a pretty technical marvel. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So you're saying we can find a baseball.
If we can have a satellite doing that, it can do that for other things much bigger, moving faster, in a much more easier to locate area,
specific location.
And that additionally, like this whole thing with like, oh, these orbs drones by the White House, it's like that's easily the most monitored airspace in the world. There's not another place on the face of planet Earth with a more closely monitored and tracked airspace. I cannot imagine there's any single thing flying around there that they aren't immediately aware of and able to pinpoint like one, where did it come from? Where is it going? Who built it? And yada, yada, right? Now, I do see these weird things where they're like trying to show, two drones, and everyone calls them orbs. And it's like, well, it's just a light on the bottom of this thing, right?
Uh-huh.
And they show them interacting and then one flying away and zipping around. And it's kind of interesting. Someone was like, oh, this drone flew up to this orb, and then the orb electrocuted it. And then the drone fell down and crashed, and the Air Force said no one to approach these drones, because they're radioactive and yada, yada. Okay, all right. What I'm saying here is that there's a whole lot of rumors. Mm-hmm. I haven't read anything anywhere of a PSA or found a news story anywhere where the Air Force or anyone has said, hey, don't go near these drones because they're probably radioactive. And I can't find a single video that people are talking about here of the drone being electrocuted and shot down by whatever the glowing orb is. I do see videos of what appears to be multiple drones flying around and flying up to other drones. I see, like I said, dude, there's so many videos I'm looking at that are just like, someone was like, glowing white orb turns into drone. And that's just a plane flying overhead, banking, and then you see its wings.
Yeah. Or
it's so unreal to me how dumb people are.
Or like a drone, even if drone is light on. What I've been thinking, I was thinking about tonight. I kind of wanted to take my drone and tape a high-powered flashlight to the bottom of it and go fly it. Because also, here's the deal too.
How many people would try to shoot at it?
Well, because that's the crazy. I know thing. I'm not the only person who owns a little drone.
Yeah, everyone's like, might as well.
I'm not the only person who thinks this way. As the hysteria grows, I guarantee you there's people sending up their own little things.
Oh, yeah.
And if I, yes, you could put a pretty high powered flashlight on the bottom of my drone, send it up 400 feet in the air and cruise over northern Colorado. And I could get some lady on the Nextdoor app or the city Facebook page taking pictures of it, talking about what they saw.
It'd be even better if we just had changing lights on it, just not I saw it change to red and then examine and then move on. It's okay. And
also I'd also have a little cup, a solo cup of dry ice.
Ooh, so it looks smoky,
so it's smoking and orby. Oh yeah, I mean this doesn't take a genius. It takes my dumb ass with a couple materials to make it pretty wild. That being said, I think there is something going on here. I think there's also people playing into the narratives, probably people also launching their own little drones and doing little things just even to be silly. They are saying that they're asking people to stop trying to take down the drones because lots of people are using laser pointers to try to take down the drones, which won't actually really take down a laser pointer.
Yeah.
But laser pointers do jack with pilots flying airplanes. It can mess up those guys. And so anyways, they're like, please stop. You're just shining these on planes.
Yeah. And they're doing, and that's a federal crime, to blind a pilot.
Oh yeah.
So anywho, it's pretty silly. Here's a great one, right? I'm looking at this video that says, drone approaching an orb in Los Angeles. Now, even at night, this phone camera recording this on December 15th in Los Angeles has such bad glare from the street lamps that it looks like there's 3 or 4 orbs that are just shimmering. And then there's flashing drone image. It looks like approaching some kind of possible other hovering drone. And then they back away. And the person with the most logical answer here is that is Venus. The orb is Venus. The drone getting near it is a plane, and then the plane is banking away towards the airport. And you watch that with that and you're like, oh yeah, that's totally what it is. And everyone's like, come on, why couldn't they just test these in secret? Another person's like, I don't know. Wouldn't the simplest answer be that the government have seen how drone warfare has escalated in Ukraine?
Right.
And these orbs have been created to be a defense. The drones interacting with them again is the government testing how successful the orbs are against the latest aggressive drone tech. They're not going to admit this, though. They don't want to announce it to foreign powers, although it's clear that this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, no, it's just the North Star. It's just Venus and planes. But no, and like that's of course downvoted. Like anytime someone says that, it's like, guys, this is just planes. And someone's like, okay, I just saw 4 of these videos posted back to back to back of the drone approaching a glowing orb. I spotted 4 orange orbs, yada yada. And people are just talking, and it's like, wow, no way. You mean to tell me 4 people recorded one of the brightest objects in our night sky, another planet, and planes flying in the sky at night near it? Like, how hard could that have been with perspective, you know? So it is just kind of, we're not dealing with like the most critical thinking analysts here in regards to like the potential like results of this. A lot of people are saying that DJIs are known to go up to like 1,600 feet.
Yeah, you can send it high. You have to turn off the governor, but you can take them up there.
Yeah, and like you put a lamp on that, you fly it up there, like you are gonna have no comprehension of perspective between that and a plane.
And honestly, 200 feet.
Yeah, you don't have to go that high
because it's so small.
Yeah,
it's so small. The way it's moving. Some of these videos, like I'm looking at one right now. It's like this looks like it's not that high, and so either it's huge, and it's up there, or it's like 200 feet up there flying over the trees. So I think there's a lot of different things going on, but do you think that there's any
spooky
real validity or spooky things going on with drones that
well, who was that chick that was just on the Sean Ryan show again? What's her name?
Sarah Adams.
Is that her name? Yeah, I believe it is. But she used to work for the CIA, and she's talking about how her as a consultant with all the other people she's working with are essentially consulting and informing the government and other agencies about like the insanely high level the U.S. is at for a terrorist attack. Like it is unreal how insecure we are right now as a nation to another 9/11 event. This like basic precautions have been avoided and neglected and not taken seriously.
Did you say something along the lines of like there's like known of 1,000 like Al-Qaeda members in America or something like that? That's like, and it was like something like that, and that's of known.
It's like, why aren't we getting rid of them?
Right, and that's like,
why aren't we just posting their names and addresses?
And as we've known, anytime whatever a known number is, usually the real number is different.
A little bit more, usually.
Particularly larger. So.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, too. Even from like an outside thing, like, bro, did you see the latest Taliban training video that she showed Sean?
Yeah, I saw it when they posted a couple weeks ago.
Wasn't that bonkers?
Oh, yeah. I mean, dude,
I'm be honest. That guy's more squared away. That Taliban shooter. Now, he may be in the top 90th, 95% of Taliban shooters, right? That guy was more squared away than like 90% of people I know that I shoot with.
Any of my friends, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And no, for sure. And yeah, and it is a video, so you can redo takes and things. But at the same time, it was not what we saw when we were kids of any sort of like footage from.
Yeah, it was not goofy, jokey.
Yeah,
Goobertown
was not
training.
It was not man jammas.
Yeah,
and a rifle from the 70s.
Dude was wearing like 5.11 gear, running an AR in a transition pistol setup,
and fast, and like, yeah, and to her point in that podcast, she was like, and these are like not the best guys. Like that was Taliban. That's not Al-Qaeda. And so Taliban, to her point being that like, Taliban has their guys what they're doing, but Al-Qaeda is the next level. They spend way more time training. They spend way more. They have way more resources, and what they do. And so, and I've thought about this for a long time, actually, watching a lot of gun tubers and stuff. I'm like, if you lots of gun troopers get flack for like, kind of just like being unrealistic or certain things. But I will say, like, YouTube University can teach you a lot of things, and you could just go on there, and if you wanted to take a group of people who have no idea how to operate a weapon or how to move through something, you could watch a bunch of channels of Americans who, yes, they really were special operators who really are showing you how to operate and move through something.
You should play Jerry Michalik videos on repeat with dubbed like Farsi.
Mm-hmm. And that will make them better.
Oh yeah.
And it's completely open and accessible for them, right? So it's like there is an underbelly to like it's cool. I get to like watch how to, reload faster so that I can be a better airsofter, or whatever. But also, you're not the only one who's watching these videos.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy. It is one of those things, though, that like I do believe that we will see a deep, deep shift across those organizations I think they will go from more of like the scattered, like wide area of effect as much as possible with as little training as possible, to like, man, we've really put a lot of time and effort into training these dudes. Like, we should be more of a scalpel. And I think we may see that like we're not going to be getting as many like suicide bombers or as many like give dude full auto machine gun. He doesn't really know how to use it that well.
Right.
He's not probably precise, but he just goes to a club and just starts shooting people up, right? He doesn't need to be accurate because it's a opportunity environment or a target rich environment. But then now if you have these guys that you're putting, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of equipment into and training, you start thinking like, these guys might be able to do something. Like in a place where we can't just like get precise, like in a place where like we would used to be like, all right, well, let's put, 3 guys in car bombs and drive 3 cars at this building. Maybe one of them gets through and they probably won't kill who we really, really want to kill.
Right.
But they'll scare the hell out of them.
They'll make
kill
the statement
other people
we want. Right.
Yeah, it's like, of course, the Taliban or Al Qaeda know, like, there's no way we're getting a car bomb into the White House. But we could get a couple car bombs, probably like, within a few blocks before they're neutralized, and that would scare the piss out of everybody. And now they're probably thinking, but what if we had this, highly equipped, highly kitted, highly trained team that's having like drone coverage running for them, and we try to do some kind of scalpel surgery here. Maybe we start small and we accept we're not going to get into the White House, but we probably will get into the Capitol building in, I don't know, Houston, whatever, right? And it's one of those things that, like, again, this is all me just what's the word, theorizing
and wargaming and planning.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I don't have any real intel to support any of this, other than like what we've seen
and our common sense. Like, if anybody wanted to be like, how do I want to complete my mission? And if your mission is what these people's mission are, they're refining it. And like, and the scary part of it is like, I do it. Like, one of my buddies, I won't forget, like, he was in the first wave that went into Afghanistan, army guy. And like, when he came back, he's like, if any of those guys had a quarter of the training I'd be dead.
Really?
Yeah. He was like hands down. He's like, the only reason I lived walking into a lot of things was because they were shooting from the hip, spraying and praying, and we killed them. But like, he was like, if they had any remote training compared to that I had, like, I would have died coming around so many corners. Really?
Just because there were so many of them and they were like the ambushing mentality?
Yeah. And or just like, and it was early in the war too, but like, just, the fact that like when some dude just pops around a corner and shoots with his rifle over his head, he could hit you, but there's a pretty good chance he won't hit you too, so it's like, but if some guy comes around the corner, just even like you said, core of the training, shouldered and aiming correctly, that changes the whole game. That means that he's accurately firing at you. And so take that to the next level. It's like, okay, quarter training, half the training, 3/4 of the training or whatever, maybe, to be like, okay, this is a whole nother thing. And then also take the fact that then equipment wise, where we don't own the night anymore, we don't, own
we
certain
shared
battle
the night.
spaces, and especially with and the onset of drones too, where it's like, I mean, a $60 million Chinook can be taken out by $800 drone.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: is that all of those, the thing that's common with everything in the air is that it all has to come down at one point or another.
Right.
And the truth is like, yes, you don't try to catch a drone up to a Black Hawk helicopter, but you do put the drone down and have it touch down right outside the fence line where the Black Hawk helicopter needs to go and refuel. And then you wait until you see a team of guys moving over to it, fly that drone over there, take it out the moment it starts coming off the ground.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that is just like, again, it's the mentality here doesn't take it an expert to evaluate like the approach to how to find the most opportune moment to disable, an asset for combat. But anyways, so all of that said, we're incredibly vulnerable right now. I do expect we'll have a similar attempt, like a similar 9/11 level attempt or success. I do think we'll see it attempted several times before it's given up on, or we'll see it succeed a couple times because we slipped through the cracks. And I think maybe finally enough has come in that there's now truly an effort of this quote unquote drone Iron Dome. I do believe the U.S. is viewing drones and how easily they can be made and disposed of. I do think, like we talked about, like Palmer Luckey, with Anduril, like his idea is to build an Iron Dome wall of disposable drones that can not only just go and take out, targets in a defensive manner, right? We talked about a couple weeks ago, but if someone is driving a car full of bad guys to a concert to shoot people up, Anduril's designed a drone to engage them and neutralize only them when they're on the highway
with minimal. Yeah.
And it's like, and it's one of those things like that is a defensive tactic that's used like that. That's an offensive defense.
Right.
And it's like, we're not sending these drones overseas to take out these guys before they come here. It's like we are where they're coming with an offensive, so we meet them before they can get to the location. And additionally, there's the other ones he wrote, like designed, right? The Barracudas that are designed to intercept missiles, and probably now other drone IEDs. And then I can't remember the last one, but it's the one that like can intercept other drones and then or planes and aircraft and then return back without the drone itself being destroyed. But all of this is being created as a drone like Iron Dome. And Anduril is winning contracts. And you would be off your rocker if you think there's not someone from Anduril working with the Department of Defense
on the coasts
to look at like how they can be used to protect the airspace over the White House.
Oh yeah.
I am confident. I will say this. I am like 99% confident that what we're seeing is war game preparation of you have bad side drones, good side drones. And one of these, orbs, right? These things of light in the sky on some of these instances are going to be the target drone that is there for operating and engaging. They're the offensive drone, and then the defensive drones are the ones that are being seen being more erratic in movement and engaging these other ones, right? And they probably are at the stage right now where people are like, well, we're not seeing them blow up or we're not seeing them crash into each other. It's like, yes, because what's the first thing you need to do in a scenario like this? And this isn't not a rhetorical question, but I genuinely want to know, like, because this is, I know, not how a lot of people think. I think from a statistical testing and evaluating mindset. But what do you think is more important in a scenario like this? Getting it right when you have an offensive drone or offensive aircraft coming in, and getting it right when you shoot it, or getting it wrong. So like a true positive or a false positive?
You're saying like for the what do you mean for the false positive? Like
So
getting it wrong.
so what's more important is it like, oh, yep, that's a drone DJI with a hand grenade on it,
right?
And we intercepted it.
Uh-huh.
That's a true positive.
Right.
Properly identified and neutralized.
Right.
False positive. That's a drone flying in. There's no hand grenade on it. It's Jim Bob's drone from the park, and we just blew it up.
Right. Or like Johnny's Cessna.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A civilian aircraft.
Yeah. So yeah.
What's more important? Getting true positives or true negatives, right? Eliminating the false positives.
Right. Yeah. In a peacetime environment, you got to be sure about that stuff.
I would say at any time, bro. There's nothing going to be more detrimental than having this thing zip at a glint in the sky and it takes down a passenger airline.
Right. No, what I'm saying is, so like what I mean is during the testing, during the like operations and seeing how stuff works, you got to like really be on it. And then if you're in a situation where, let's say that you're in a situation where it's a battle space, it's different.
Yeah.
Meaning like
Ukraine.
Yeah. Meaning like
error of margin is a lot safer.
Right. Like, well, we're pretty sure anything in the air is like bad.
Margin of error. My bad.
Yeah. And so, but it's definitely, you got to be right.
Yeah. And the truth is like where the U.S. is just, the U.S. has not had a legitimate actual like on ground war effort since World War II. Like World War II was the last time we had enemies in our airspace, in our seas. Well, not in our seas probably,
but
like what I mean, like and like even remotely close to like an on ground effort, right? And so nowadays, like we need to accept that like the truth and the likelihood is that it should be that we should err on the side of making sure true negatives are adhered to and accept the risk on essentially false positives.
Right.
Of just being like, okay, like we think that's one. False negatives. We think that's a safe one. Oh, it's not a safe one. Okay, it blows up. Like that's probably going to be less detrimental if we have even a 1% to 2% false positive rate.
Right.
Because you have a 1% to 2% false positive rate in an area like DC, bro, you're killing 1,000 people a day.
Dropping Marine One on accident. Yeah.
So that's like the thing is like you get like we just have to understand. So I think the testing right now is that identification part, the false positives, true positives, true negatives.
For sure. And what's crazy about drones in general too is like the United States has not like really experienced on a large scale or wide scale, or we haven't done a lot of drones. Yes, we have our own Predators, Reapers and stuff that we used, but we have not experienced what like has been going on in Ukraine and or a peer to peer situation who have the capability back at us. And so that's where the tiny drone, FPV drones, all this stuff, that's all new to warfare for even us. And we just have to the DoD has to admit that and realize that and know that they have to, and I'm sure they're realizing it watching all this stuff come out of different places around the world where, I mean, there are those people out there saying, oh, well, this technology's been around for a long time and everybody know, and I'm sure there were special groups using this and that. It's yeah, but not on a scale where it's every single unit has drones that can drop grenades on stuff or that sort of thing. So in general, the whole drone conversation has really, and drone's a pretty wide word.
It is,
right?
Yeah. Are you talking about your little RC helicopter,
right?
Or are you talking an actual,
something
reconnaissance film drone, or are we talking about something that
drops a hellfire?
Yeah, it's the weight of a small car lifted by 8 rotors,
right? And so that it's a broad spectrum, and we really truly haven't had to combat that or deal with it or see what that's like. And so I think that it has to be figured out. And Especially what's interesting about, I've always wondered about the DJI drones is they're all from China and they all get all of our information.
Oh yeah, it's free for like, free geo imaging and information for for China.
They get it all.
Yeah, it's unreal. Anyway, so that's my theory. You know what would be cooler though?
Aliens.
If it was aliens, it'd be so much sicker. Like I'd imagine like in everything that's happened in the last few years, we just ultimately so the aliens are floating over the White House trying to make contact to communicate with us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, holy shit. Like, you know what I mean? Of course I'd be sick. That's not what's happening. Like you wouldn't be able to keep that quiet, man. People have the ability to like buy a thermal optic off of online, night vision, things like that. They would be plenty of civilians and also whistleblowers. Like, dude, we have people whistleblow all the time in the government about every single freaking thing you can imagine. Like, there's no way they're keeping it down lock if there's UFOs floating over the White House.
Yeah. And then I'll get to just stand up in Old Town Square and just give the speech from Independence Day.
Yeah, but what if they're not trying to kill us?
I know I'm going to give it anyways,
The one by what's his name? What's that? Not Bill Paxton.
But the other guy.
Yeah.
Kroger brand Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
He's Star-Lord from or not Star. Yeah, he's not Star-Lord. He's from Spaceballs. He's a star. What's his name in Spaceballs?
I can't remember. Hold on.
Gosh. But we're not fighting for our freedom. Not from tyranny or oppression or persecution, but from annihilation. We're fighting for our right to live.
Bill Pullman.
Yep. And to exist. What's his name in freaking Spaceballs? I need to watch that movie again. It's been a long time.
Dude, Spaceballs is pretty funny.
And it's one of those
I see your Schwartz is bigger than mine.
It's one of those movies too where like I need to watch it and see if it's as funny as it was then.
It was.
It still will be to me.
Yeah.
But this is one of those, like, you'll show a 19-year-old and they're like, I don't get it.
Lone Star.
Because
yes, the beers of
Lone Star.
That said, dude, Bill Pullman, I do think is a fantastic actor, and I think everyone should at least watch season 1 of The Sinner. Season 1 of The Sinner is phenomenal. Season 2, pretty good. Season 3, pretty good. I haven't watched season 4 yet, but season 1 is unreal, and it also showed me the band called Big Black Delta.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Big Black Delta is like a great new age electronic band, and their song is like very vital to the plot kind of season 1, but like it just plays over and over at points, and it's like a hauntingly beautiful song, and you're like, dude, like it's just burned into your brain after that season of like this song is like a trigger for remembering a good show. Anyways, unfortunately it's probably not aliens.
Nope.
But you want to know something that's just as crazy as aliens? John McAfee. Because this was something I brought up, and Pat was like, what are you talking about?
I realized I'm uneducated.
The security company guy? I'm like, yeah, the former owner of McAfee Security. So Pat, tell me just what did you even know his name was John today?
I didn't know his name was John. I didn't even know it was a person. I knew McAfee was a thing before I switched to the dark side. Had my MacBook when I had my old gateways and my Dells and my HPs. It was just always popping up to update my McAfee. And then you're wondering, wait a second. Like at first, you have a McAfee subscription. They protect you from, Trojans and spyware and spamware and cookies and all this stuff that was like, we're all worried about back then. And, but then all of a sudden it became a thing where I was like, wait, is this a fake ad? Is this a thing popping up am I being double agented? where if I click this thing that pops up on my computer to renew my McAfee stuff,
that's actually
is
spam.
it just actually
That's
a virus?
actually a virus.
What's happening? So I do remember my main memory of McAfee would be as a kid, my dad would spend so much time on our old family computer, like defragging the computer and then also trying to make it work right. And then after that, making sure the virus protection was right. And I just remember him always like kind of struggling with the virus protection and feeling like it was a necessary evil that he has like you have to have it, but it's a real pain in the butt to make sure it's always working right.
Yeah, and it didn't do diddly against LimeWire.
Right.
Hey, LimeWire, I still downloaded every freaking song I wanted, and I still plagued that computer with probably viruses. Torrented whatever shows and comics I wanted to read. But anyways, John McAfee, man. John McAfee. This is the story of John McAfee. I sent you the link so you could look at it on your phone and kind of follow along here. But like, for those of you in our audience who don't know, like John McAfee lived the life of a freaking like 21st century legend. Like he's the first high-end, like unreal, larger than life Silicon Valley bro who just like snorted coke, did LSD, coded into the AM, and then made millions of dollars. You know what I mean? Like this dude lived the life. He like I imagine these guys are the equivalent of like the naval captains back in like the 16th century that just became pirates. They're like, I shine too bright to be contained by one nation. Like, Her Majesty be damned. I'm taking this ship and my crew. And we're sailing the seas, baby, and we're getting gold. Yeah. And like that's exactly John McAfee is just the pirate of our like turn of the century here. So, starting up, this is all kind of going to be covered in the Netflix documentary that's coming out called Running with the Devil. Actually, I think it's already out. I just don't have Netflix anymore. Sorry. Yeah, it's already out. But Running with the Devil, the Wild World of John McAfee. So a lot of this came out of there, but essentially, McAfee, he's born in Gloucestershire, which I think is in England, the good old UK. And his dad was apparently this drunk, died by suicide. McAfee, though, started working in mathematics, and he got his degree in mathematics in like the 60s, and went on to start working at like NASA and Apollo. And he got more involved with computer science and coding as computers were becoming more of a forefront and, requirement for doing a lot of high-end mathematical jobs. Started working for Lockheed Martin in the 80s. And as the computer industry was rising up, viruses, of course, started popping up. And viruses back in the day, there wasn't much of a point to a virus.
Right.
because this is like pre-internet, right? This is pre-global wide connection. And so most of like the government operated on like an internal internet. And most of the government still does operate on an internal internet. Right. It's not that different from the internet you and I have, just with more security and protocols. But back in the day, it was like, okay, a real virus would be like you code something at home or someone else codes it, and then they swap it out with your floppy disk. They swap it out with like whatever drive you're taking in for the day, and then you plug it into the machine, and it's scripted to download as soon as it plugs into whatever the next machine is. And then it steals information. That person then still has to take it out of there without anything being detected of it, like copying information off of those devices, and then you steal it back from that person, right? But in the early 80s, as the internet started to grow out, he realized he's like, hey, viruses are going to be a big issue. Like if everything's connected, viruses can pretty much be transferred, just like they are from people. Right. Like, and you're not going to have this isolation and security of, like being able to silo it onto a specific device. And so he started building, computer virus detection that would just do a simple thing. It just detects essentially a software program that shouldn't exist. That's all it's really doing, is saying like, hey, this program wasn't here yesterday, and it's not one of the approved programs on this list. Let's squash it, delete it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, as he was building that, more and more virus sophistication came out of it, and he kept on building, new workarounds for the newest viruses, and eventually started his own company called McAfee Associates. And it is said that by the start of the 90s, this company was earning McAfee. Now, it's not said I don't really know if it's McAfee himself was making this much or the company was, but $5 million a year in the 90s, bro.
That's some money.
Hey, that's unreal, dude. That's so much money. There's some failed mergers, but like McAfee kind of became this like first Silicon Valley guy, the first real dude bro in Silicon Valley of like tech stuff, kind of hot headed. Not like he wasn't like your quiet, soft spoken nerd. Like Elon Musk is like he's a stuttering, rather soft spoken nerd.
Mm-hmm.
He does some things that are kind of cool, but he's very like, wasn't that cool?
Yeah.
And like McAfee was like snorting coke off a hooker's ass, like, hey, let's go do some cool stuff and like shoot guns at the like military base to just scare them. You know what I mean? Like this dude was wild, out of control. Now I exaggerate there a little bit, but like he was known to do a lot of drugs with a lot of hookers. And he was also a really big gun guy, I guess. But anyways, so these mergers falling through, but he still had a lot of capital and he was investing in a lot of these like startup companies. One of the ones that I know still around today, Cognizant. I know actually a couple guys who are working there. But then he started doing like the big cryptocurrency gold rush stuff and like being a really heavy pusher of cryptocurrency, trying to get big financial firms and people to invest. And in 2017, this is great. He had this quote. He said that Bitcoin would be worth $500,000 per coin within 3 years. He said that in 2017. And he said, if not, I will eat my own dick on national television.
Oh, wow.
I remember when he said that. I was in college and I was like, dude,
and
I would love to see this guy eat his own dick. Like
he wasn't young.
No.
He was like 70.
I don't know if he was 70.
He was born in 1945. So what is that?
Oh, yeah. 75. He died at 75.
So it wasn't like a young, like, it was like an old grandpa saying,
I'll cut off just my dick and eat it. No, he's pretty cracked out, bro. You should watch some videos of him. Like his voice is pretty eccentric. But anyways, so he continued to kind of be increasingly erratic and eventually started kind of catch up to him in a way where the IRS was like, hey, actually, this guy hasn't paid taxes in a long time. And he's worth a lot of money. And he's got it wrapped up in a lot of assets, which is easy to liquidate. And so they started going after him. And then they also started building a case. I believe it was the FBI building a case of fraud because some people were like, hey, this guy made me put like $8 million in a Bitcoin. And now Bitcoin went down and it's worth only like, now I only have $2 million worth of Bitcoin. And that's we know that now with history that's the cycle of Bitcoin.
Right.
That's just what happens. They'd be rich now. But, and like, here's the thing. No one has ever lost money on Bitcoin if they just held on to it. People only lose money when they sell.
Yeah.
But anyways, so he starts believing that, he's going to face some jail time and the courts are corrupt. And he starts saying some crazy shit. He starts saying like, I have stuff that will put all these people in jail and prison. Like, you don't know how disgusting the elites are. And I don't think that really worked to his favor. I think he was hoping that'd make people back off.
Yeah.
And that just made more wealthy, rich, elite people be like, dude, IRS, lock this guy up.
Yeah.
And anyways, so he received a DUI in possession of a firearm charge in Tennessee and then was like, all right, I'm getting out of the country. He went to Belize.
Wow.
And in Belize, he meets this dude who's his neighbor. He's living in a mansion on the Ambergris Kai Beach, which I'm just going to look up what that looks like real quick. The Ambergris Gay Beach. K Beach? I think it's K, not gay.
And is it, when you're talking about these like elites, it's like, bro, sounds like he might have, he's throwing out this like, you don't know how disgusting the elites are, but
bruh, you are one of them.
Well, and he maybe didn't have like
maybe he wasn't a pedophile.
The blackmail to back it up, you know. Of course, they got old Epstein 2 years later too, so it doesn't matter how much blackmail you have on them. They're going to get you.
Yeah, they're going to get you, man. I will say this: John McAfee, in my eyes, is like he's kind of like I don't know. He's kind of like Deadpool.
Yeah.
Like he's kind of a villain.
Yeah.
But he's the villain I'm rooting for to kill the other villains.
Right.
And I kind of think he's funny. You know what I mean?
A little bit of the Tony Stark part too, just kind of like the...
Yeah, Tony Stark's character, though, for the Marvel stuff was based off of John McAfee. Like the facial hair.
Really?
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, yeah, Tony Stark looks like that in a lot of the comics and stuff too. But you can definitely see the erraticness, the wide eye, kind of drugged, philanthropist playboy.
Right.
It's just John McAfee from the 90s.
Yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, let's just make that Robert Downey Jr.'s character for Iron Man.
What's this island about?
Dude, it's freaking beautiful. It's the classic like sky, light blue, turquoise beaches here. It's beautiful. Belize is a beautiful place, and McAfee's down there, which is also ironic because my uncle spent a lot of time down in Belize fishing.
Huh.
And he also didn't pay his taxes. Okay. But anyways, okay. He claimed to have been the target of police, and was arrested for drug manufacturing and possession of an unlicensed weapon. But he was kind of like able to kind of get off those things. I bet grease the wheels. But ultimately, his neighbor, Greg Fall, don't know who Greg Fall was really. But he had a mansion next to McAfee's in this place, and Greg and McAfee didn't really get along, and they ultimately had a conflicting encounter. Apparently, Greg said, "Hey, your dogs harass my parrot. If you don't get these dogs under control, I'm going to kill them." And McAfee was like, lick my ass, suck my cock. And like, he literally said stuff like that all the time. Yeah. If everyone wants something crazy, Shane Gillis, before McAfee died, had McAfee on his podcast where McAfee Skyped in. Yeah, and he was just talking loony stuff the whole time, but it was awesome. Oh my goodness! And Shane Gillis, you can tell, is just like, I don't even know what to say. This dude is too funny. Like, I can't come up with anything funnier.
I can't keep up with him. Like, it's like Theo Vaughn's brain in a genius's brain, so it's just overloaded.
Exactly.
And the it's hilarious that these two guys who are like clearly very probably well set individuals, are having a classic neighbor feud.
Classic, like what
classic neighbor
anyone
feud
can encounter.
Yeah.
Like from the wealthiest neighborhoods on Belize to the most slummy inner city ghettos of Chicago. Everyone knows what it's like to yell at another man about his damn dog.
Yeah.
But anyways, McAfee says that stuff. Next day, McAfee's dogs were poisoned and killed. All of his dogs dead. But a day later, Fall was found dead with one gunshot to his head.
Oh, man.
And so McAfee was like, yo, I didn't do that, but then ran and left Belize. He's like, yeah, I'm just leaving for like something not related to this. Don't ignore the gun. Ignore the gun I just threw into the ocean. But anyway, so he left, and that turns into essentially him kind of being on the run. And he's going on the run from country to country. These islands that are like pretty easy to just like have a lot of cash and get away with just about whatever you want for a while until like, people realize you're there. But some Vice journalists started following McAfee, and he was like letting them come with him, and his girlfriend Sam at the time. And they were doing pretty good until these two Vice journalists, of course, they ruined it. They posted a photo saying, "We're with John McAfee right now, suckers," and it was geotagged in Guatemala. Oh. And that kind of is where they started having a divergence. And McAfee was like, "Hey, you guys are gonna get me like, in trouble here, and I'm already like under a lot of pressure, being targeted by like literal national armies." And he had got, because of that geotag photo, he was arrested because he had actually come into Guatemala illegally. And so they were going to deport him back to Belize. But what does he do? What does McAfee do in this, bro? Does he like plead? Does he offer millions of dollars to grease the wheels? No, dog. He goes, my heart. Oh, my heart. I can't breathe. Oh, God. And he says that. And they fly him back to America after he, he flew himself after faking that heart attack back to America. And then jumped straight back into, kind of like the party and philanthropist lifestyle in Miami.
Oh my gosh.
And he did run for president twice, 2016 and 2020. And didn't win. He didn't win.
Gosh.
But as the U.S. authorities are like, hey, actually, this McAfee guy's back here. Let's get him again with our, tax evasion and the fraud for these cryptocurrency. Because of course, the FBI never stopped building the case over the 3 years he was out of the country.
Right.
And so in October 2020, McAfee's arrested in Barcelona airport by the Spanish police. They're going to extradite him back to the U.S. so he can be charged. McAfee also the whole time is like, they're not after me for, taxes. They're after me because of the shit I know. What do you think I know if my virus software is on all of their computers? I know everything. I know exactly what kind of porn they like to watch. I know exactly who they're emailing about, what they're doing later that day, and like how they're sharing things. He's like, I know everything. And he's saying that a lot of people are like, you're crazy. You don't know any of that stuff. And then a lot of other people are like, no. But if he doesn't it make sense that they're just going to like take him out? And I remember a lot of people at the time were like, dude, they're going to kill John McAfee. They're going to kill him before he can like testify and shit. Because he would never be a dude you can like expect to control on the stand, you know, if he's going to cross-examine and stuff. And so he's arrested. And his social media posts leading up to the arrest are filled with like cryptic warnings, hinting he would never willingly surrender, that he'd go down and be like, over my dead body, I would never go in cuffs back to the U.S., yada. And then in June 23rd, 2021, he's found dead in his prison cell in Barcelona. And it was, of course, a Spanish autopsy. And they're like, it could have been suicide. That was like the best they could. They weren't like, oh, yeah, definitively he killed himself. It was like, it could have been suicide. And he was dead right after the approval of his extradition to the U.S. A lot of people, there's a ton of conspiracy theories. A lot of people think that he had some kind of dead man switch on him. And like the dead man switch activated and sent out hidden caches to people across the world about like, these emails and incriminating evidence on people. A lot of people think it might have even been like he might have had a hand in like some of the FBI case stuff for like Epstein and like his associates and all that. Yeah. But anyways, so that all goes out, and his widow publicly questioned, the whole official narrative, which only helped keep speculation alive. But yeah, now there's, the lingering mysteries, of course, are like, did he actually kill Fall? Did someone kill Fall to frame him? Is there really the data troves out there that he has? Because of course, if you think about like a security system like that, where it has access to both the internet and your file storage, and it's keeping a ledger of every site you go to and what is downloaded from those sites and what's approved, of course, it's going to know what the hell you're doing at all times. The speculation over if he killed himself, and he's still this like controversial figure because we owe what we know today about computer security to him. He paved the path for it. He was kind of a man after a lot of people's own heart. He's like, any taxation's wrong and illegal. Let the people vote with their wallets. Full capitalism, kind of libertarian guy. And he is definitely a paranoid outlaw, super down to do drugs and shoot guns, and just be a ladies' man. And he's just kind of mythologized. Yeah, whatever.
That's a word.
He's been made a legend.
Yeah.
By, rumors of what he was actually doing. And like people who knew him and partied with him were like, yeah, dude, this guy he's crazy.
And a couple months before he died, he tweeted about, saying, he's basically saying they're coming for me, that they're, if if I commit suicide, I didn't. And he got a tattoo that says schwacked on his arm with the S is a money sign. So he very clearly a couple months before this said, I will not kill myself.
Yeah.
And then he died from killing himself.
Allegedly. Maybe. Could have been suicide.
Yeah.
But all that said, it is pretty bonkers, man. And a lot of people just think like McAfee is just like some company with like some nerd that was, the company's owned by some family with the last name. Dude, it was just all this crazy kook dude who lived a wild life, man. I mean, and honestly, like if you're gonna freaking make that kind of money with that, with that brain power, like this is why people think Mark Zuckerberg's not human, because Mark Zuckerberg isn't like living life to the most extreme, with his money.
Right.
They're like, he's just doing what most people do when they start making like six figures.
Right.
Like he goes on a lot of vacations with boats. But he's not like on yachts doing coke off of hookers,
right?
Or shooting guns in the air.
And he is building like a $10 million or $40 million house in Hawaii,
so he can stay inside all day. What a freaking nerd!
But that being said, like the percentage to what he does make, it's like what this is like. This is like when someone's like, yep, I think it's time to get a little mountain cabin.
Yeah,
it's like what, bro? Like you could have. And I mean,
you can own the mountain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, so who knows what his deal is.
But anyways, yeah, pretty crazy stuff. You guys should look it up. I feel like a lot of kin out there who knowing like what kind of, crazy things they like to listen to would enjoy seeing like the whole documentary on them. I do wonder if the documentary puts him in a good light or like a neutral light or kind of paints him out to be a wacko.
'Cause it does sound like it. Like a fair shake on this would be like, he wasn't crazy, but
he was kind of crazy.
But I mean like insane.
Yeah,
he was not insane. But like he lived like they live a moral lifestyle. No, but he wasn't a nut.
But did he hurt anyone? Probably not, unless you count.
Maybe,
Greg.
Maybe old Greg.
Maybe Greg, but Greg had it coming. Dude, if someone poisoned my dog, I'd shoot them in the head. No,
yeah, we're gonna
not real. No cap. Lawyers. That was a joke. That was exaggeration. But if you poison my dog, I will shoot you. Like, no kidding.
And so, I mean, we'll see if they give him a fair shake on that. He's a human. He's a human who found wild success, and he's obviously and made some bad choices, wild stuff. I don't agree with probably his lifestyle, but then at the same time, also like
he wasn't one of the pedophiles,
right? It sounds like he got shut up because he died right around the time old Epstein got knocked out, and people were it was pretty easy to get rid of. Here's I wonder. There's got to be some theories out there between old Billy, because Mr. Billy
Clinton,
Bill Gates.
Oh, Gates. Yeah, dude, I think Bill Gates is a pedophile.
Well, how much McAfee software was running on
Windows?
All of Windows stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's like and then, and there's that one interview with Bill Gates talking like about Epstein stuff, and it's either because of his pseudo autism or because he did it. He's just like kind of says something along the lines of like, well, we'll get to you. Like if you cross us, we'll get to you. I don't remember the interview I'm talking about.
I kind of remember it.
But he just says this thing that's kind of like, that's
let this be a lesson to everybody else out there.
It's like this is an autistic threat. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right.
But
it's all the people who go to that freaking Owl Island.
Yep. And I'm glad I didn't have too much John McAfee in me today, because I'd be facing some criminal charges.
Oh, yeah? You don't have a dog.
I know. I had a lunch meeting today. I come out of my lunch meeting, and there was a boot on my truck today, dude.
Bro.
I got booted. Oh, my God.
You know what's crazy?
Huh?
We were just talking about this.
Who, me and you?
Yeah. I think we were on the air, or maybe we weren't on the air.
Huh.
About how a certain individual I know in my sphere, definitely not you, Pat, but a certain individual I know just hasn't renewed their
Oh yeah. So
their registration for over a year.
So I'm approaching. I'll spill it because here's the deal. Okay, here's the deal. I have an appointment at 9:15 a.m. tomorrow
To renew it.
to renew it, and it being
The one.
all of my company trucks.
Yeah, okay, all right.
are
So you're doing all of
unregistered.
them.
Okay, here we go. 3 of my trucks are out of date on registration. My other vehicle for the company is not currently registered to me. I bought it. The title's signed. I just haven't gone down there and like got it swapped over. But the plates are still good, but it's not officially mine yet. All right. This is kind of was a whole other conversation where I will say this. As far as like protecting my dudes and people around me, all the vehicles are insured, right? So if we get in a wreck, if we hurt somebody or hurt their property, it's covered. If one of my employees gets hurt in a wreck, they are covered. What I'm currently not doing is just paying, whatever the hell it is they're supposed to be doing, like fixing potholes out there. So, ethical line there. Am I doing my full civic duty? No. But I'm not like fully delinquent, I feel. I'm semi-justifying it. I'm trying to explain the situation though, to say like I care about individuals' property, individuals' health, and my employees' health. I really don't give that much of a crap about paying for registration of my vehicles. Going forward, I want to always have this squared away, so it's just not a problem. And it's in half in protest and half in laziness that I haven't gotten this done. But I've neglected to register my truck for a year now. It's up. It's been a whole year.
Me too.
Well,
actually, no, mine just expired.
Yeah, expired.
Expired, I guess, at like end of October.
Right. So I'm about to put you in the pickle now.
No.
Because I'll tell you about it. It's a great thing. So back to the story real quick. I come out of the meeting. There's a boot on my truck, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is because I haven't paid my registration. I'm like freaking out. Like, okay, they got me. $150 ticket. Kind of pain in the butt. And so I'm like, all right. So I walked down to parking services. This is very fortunate. Where my truck was parked was only a 2-minute walk from the office of the parking services people. So I walk down there, I walk in, swipe my card, pay it. And they say, okay, someone will be there in 20 minutes to an hour to unlock your car.
Ugh.
That's pretty convenient though, as far as like,
yeah, that's all right, but that still sucks.
It sucks, but like I thought my car was about to be towed and I have to get all my tools and personal stuff out. And so I called one of my other guys in the other truck that's not registered, and they were, or I should say that the registration's expired on. And I'm like, hey, they got me. And like, where are you at? And they're like, we're in Old Town having lunch. And I'm like, watch the truck.
Oh shit, they're coming for you next.
I'm like, get in the truck.
Get out of Old Town now.
Exactly.
Before it's too late.
Yeah, because I'm like, if the whole fleet gets locked down, we're just screwed, right? I'm like, we gotta go. So I'm like, swallow that burger fast, get in the truck. We gotta come get my tools, and my guys are like, this was not my job description. I'm like, whatever, it's like they didn't say that, but would be a fair.
That's funny.
Fair sentiment.
This
I'm
is
like,
a fun day at work.
Yeah, I'm just like, boys, like boys, it's time. We gotta get out of here. And so they scarf down their hamburger. They hop in the car. They're getting out of there. And I'm like, send me pictures. Go back to the shop. Get all the pictures of all the VIN numbers, all the license plate numbers. I'm going to go get all this fixed. I'm going to take care of everything. Go to parking services. And I'm like, all right, like, what's the deal? And they're like, oh. And so I thought this is this whole big registration fiasco. Mm-hmm. They're like, apparently you had a parking ticket from the summer you hadn't paid. And it escalated, and now we booted your car. So I became very unincentivized at that moment to walk another couple blocks down the road to register my vehicles, which you have to have an appointment for now and stuff. So I couldn't even get it done at that point anyways. But
you're like, wait a second.
Yeah, I'm like,
this doesn't have anything to do with what I thought it had to do with.
Exactly. I'm like calling a broken arrow.
Yeah.
Like getting everybody like scrambled. Yeah. And it's like, so you're saying, and I'm also like, so you're telling me you still don't know about what's going on? Yeah,
here?
exactly. And I'm like, also, and then I also kind of get re-pissed again. Now I was pissed. backing up to when I saw the boot on my truck, guess what? I have every tool you need to get that boot off my car.
Yes.
I could have had it off in, we'll call it 45 seconds. From the time I saw that boot, if I needed it off, I could have had it off in 45 seconds. But I refrained. I suppressed my urge. I suppressed my McAfee urges and pushed them down deep inside of me because you get a criminal misdemeanor if you
take it off.
Yeah, which is kind of silly. The fact that like, as far as like government property damage, it's hacksawing a master lock.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'll buy you guys a new master lock, whatever. But criminal misdemeanor, I'm like, okay, that's not worth it for sure. And we're kind of stacking things up here. And then they're going to find about the registration thing too. So anyways, I did not jack the boot off my truck as much as I really wanted to go pirate mode. I was like, I'm going to take this off. I'm getting out of here, pulling my plates.
Dude, the funny thing is if you do that and then you just go to like one of those employees' cars or just like one of the parking services cars.
I'll boot it with my own lock.
Yeah, boot it with your own lock. Yeah. And then just like, if you saw that, I'm pressing charges for damage to property.
Exactly. Put a sticker on theirs that also says like, you must come here within the next 3 days to pay this ticket. If not, your vehicle will be towed at owner's expense, blah, blah, blah. At the city's expense, we will be towing your vehicle for the damages and emotional damages you caused to our sovereign society known as the town of Pat.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah. I also, just so you know, I'm not driving this vehicle, therefore it's not registered. I am traveling within the vehicle.
Yeah.
I go where the vehicle goes, but dude, I'm not driving it.
I have to suppress my sovereign citizen feelings all the time.
You have to suppress them until you watch someone record themselves being a sovereign citizen and you're like,
that guy's an idiot.
I don't want to be anything like that.
You're like, that guy's a dumbass. Like, that's not the sovereign citizen I envisioned.
Yeah.
It goes back to just the same thing we quoted last time. Just like, I'm not wearing hockey pads. It's like you, as a sovereign citizen, you're wearing hockey pads. Yeah, exactly. You're not the Batman.
Yeah.
But anyways, I pay the damn ticket. They come and unlock it. And so I'm a free man, but I had to sit in my car. And of course, like I saw, two things I wanted to note was one, a friend had to drive by and see me.
Our friend, a mutual friend?
I don't think you know him, but he's like, it's not like a close friend, just a guy who knows me, and he's a friend, but it just is like, this is embarrassing, It's like, hey, what happened? Right, that type of thing. But also, a number of people drove by, and I was sitting in my truck with the boot on it, door open, with my foot up on the, just sitting there scrolling till someone came to unlock it. Is this the truck
with the business name on it?
That's the other part of it. It's a blight and a stain on my legacy my company.
Because part of me would see that and be like, I'm hiring that guy.
Exactly.
That's a man who is a real American.
And
that's a man who will take a payment in cash.
Exactly. Yeah, I can pay him.
That's
cash.
What that says to me.
I can pay him 70% of cash. But dude, I will say this: a lot of people in Subarus and Teslas drove past my big truck and kind of sneered and laughed.
Really?
They took joy at my misfortune. And I was like, you know what?
They're going to die of radon cancer one day.
Exactly.
I'm going to show up to their house to see the Tesla in the garage and be like, everything's fine here.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's so spiteful. That's brutal.
Hey.
That's so unequal.
Maybe. It wounded my pride. But anyways, like, yeah, so what's surprising to me was I was like, dang, like I'm stuck here with my car booted and people are laughing at me. It felt very like I felt kind of like a man in a room
having just had his balls snipped
with his pants around his ankles and people looking at you, and it's like, hey man, like this is, So I got a little bit of reflection on like, whenever I see a boot on a car, I'm like, it sucks to that guy,
Yeah.
Also, I'm like, dang, like, fortunately today, it didn't put me out. I was able to walk 2 minutes, get it taken care of. I had the means to pay for it. It was close by. But like, man, other people, like, if I was in a pinch and needed to get, like, let's say for whatever reason, I had to be somewhere important, I would have either one, been so stressed, so upset, or two, like, I would have made, if I had to be somewhere, I would have cut that thing off and gone. I've been like, listen, I'll go to court later for this. You know? And so.
Well, and how do they know you're the one that cut?
Well, that's true. Probably because of the drones surveilling me. Yes. But but I did kind of have some reflection on like kind of your common man, what you're thinking about, and just like, I mean, this one dude like slow rolled, made eye contact with me, looked at his wife, she looked at me and at the boot, and they both like grinned. Not like they didn't like chuckle or like,
yeah.
It was kind of like a smile, like you. I'm so happy this happened to you. You definitely deserved that. It just was kind of like it was very. So, anyways,
it's gross.
Yeah, I was like, huh,
it's gross.
Very interesting. So, anyways,
our town is getting worse.
There's a bit of that going on, and I think I was being profiled because I was in a diesel truck, and I'm profiling them because they were in a Subaru with a fly rod rack on top. And I think they were happy that the diesel truck got booted. But all that said, I'm glad I didn't go full McAfee on it because I don't have millions and millions to back me up when I make a silly choice like that. And also, like, I was so pissed walking into the parking services office, and I was like ready to let someone have it. But also, it's like, what are you going to do? Yell at the guy who makes X amount an hour behind the window?
Yeah, no, this is like totally useless. I actually have found I charmed myself out of a ticket with a girl who worked in one of those ones.
All right.
Like nothing like super suave, but just, caught her while she was getting out of the car to cite me.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, hey, I'm moving actually. I'm parked one street too far down. I have a permit for the street up. And she's like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, I drove by this twice now and it was here. I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. I just finishing class, And I was like, hey, wait, do I know you?
Oh,
Did the classic, that one.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just like, I swear I know you. Like, I swear. Like, maybe, I don't know. I just, some other pretty redheaded girl in my class. Nah, it was a little bit more better. Yeah. It was better than that, but it worked pretty well. And she was like, all right, just move your car. I was like, all right, thanks. As long as I don't care. At the end of the day, she's like, stupid boy, just move your car. It's like, that's still a win for me. Like, I don't care if she can say whatever she wants.
Yeah, and then you drove home.
Well, then or
like you didn't move your car and go
I
back.
totally lied about everything.
You left.
But no, dude. The one thing I feel really bad for is when I see I'm seeing more and more common in our city. It's that suction cup fold out metal one that goes on the windshield. It's like, dude, what are you gonna do? Like, how do you get that one off?
Well, I will say,
because that will, like,
I think
you can't drive with that one.
I think they can electronically unlock it. Because on my sticker, they had a thing that said, like, if like vehicle prevention device, with windshield prevention device, call to pay and return to this address.
Oh,
so, but I do, yeah. So I've seen those two before, and I've been like, what the hell is that thing? But I think I have such a big boy truck. They can't windshield me. They can't cover my they had to boot it because the windshield one, I would have just stuck my head out the window and drove. Like, what do you want to do?
Yeah, that's funny.
Oh yeah.
Well, hey, I mean, this is we covered a lot of stuff. We covered the the process of getting older and new pains and procedures. We covered the conspiracies of the drones into the McAfee story, into the spirit of McAfee within us. I feel like this is a good Christmas episode. I feel like this is exactly what people should be listening to the week of Christmas. So with that, Ken, thank you for joining us. We hope that you have a very merry, merry, merry Christmas, and that you enjoy the new year going into 2025. Looking forward. Let's see what the year has ahead. I'm optimistic. I don't know. I meet so many people right now who are like doom and gloom, worst case scenario.
Really?
And like, even though I'm like, yeah, like I get it. Like we're in danger of a new terror attack, and the world's on fire and, all that. But like, I don't know, I guess I feel just still optimistic about what lies ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really not stressing that much. So, yeah. I don't know, man. What about you, Pat?
Yeah, I think that I think it's about to be a new year. New year, new you, as they say. Nothing new under the sun. This any experience that's going on is, nationally or individually for you, it's happened to someone else before. It's happened in history before.
Yep.
Just keep on keeping on through it. I think that I'm optimistically looking forward into this next year.
Me too.
I think it's going to be a good year.
Yeah. Yeah, even if there's hard times ahead, like, I do think that that's all in the process of better times afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited about our new president's term, and I'm excited about just kind of the global direction. I really hope that, everything we're seeing in the news leads to like a winding down of conflict and exhaustion of the war effort in Ukraine and things like that. And that,
Mm-hmm.
it may be uncomfortable and there may be some terms and agreements that not everyone's happy with, but like, if people stop dying in war, then I'm happy about it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And as long as it's not our boys over there dying in war, I'm extra happy about it. So, all that said, looking forward to it. Pat, you got anything else?
Till next time.
That was a good opportunity to say till next year, but you botched it.
Thanks for tuning in. If you love this episode, drop us a review. If you have qualms or comments, leave us a voicemail on our website. While you're there, check out our latest news, merch, and deals from our sponsors. Till next time, Ken.